And here we go. Awesome. Welcome back. Welcome. Boom. Welcome back, all sports ranters. All right, we are live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be giving you the hottest topics of the NFL and also covering fantasy football. I want to introduce our hosts, Nico, Jake, and Drew. Like I said, here live every week. And if you're a first-time viewer, don't miss out. Okay, the drama is real here. Okay, please leave your likes, leave your comments, leave your questions, and also leave a subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we want to get into it real quick. One topic we haven't talked about yet with fantasy football yet is trades, and we've had a very, very dramatic weekend over the subject of trades. Like I said, believe it or not, Nick, like I said, before the season even started, I'm already involved in a veto trade. All right, so if you can believe it or not, okay, so it had to do with Travis Kelce. I know you drafted him in this league, number one. We're all kind of freaked out about it. But I want to hand it over to Jake real quick because, for the sake of time. But this is a topic that we've been talking about for a long time, and I just want to know what's on your mind now that it's fresh. What's on your mind, Jake?
Okay, kind of a big topic, so I'm gonna kind of shoot out all points at once here. So kind of bear with me because I am a little limited on time. Got to get to my last draft of the season. So I'm in 7 leagues. I commission. I'm just a part of other leagues. I co-commission in some, and so trades all around, like on the spectrum. I have some leagues that there's a lot of trades. Nobody ever vetoes or says anything about it. I am in some leagues where trades are super rare, never happen. But I'm in this spot now where I understand that the league needs to have power, that the managers of a league need to have power to veto trades, because even if there's not any collusion or if there's not any collusion between managers, at the risk of having these lopsided trades where people don't know how to trade, it's the league needs to maintain integrity. And if enough of the majority says that a trade is not fair, it needs to be able to be vetoed. That being said, everybody pays their league fees to get in. Everybody has the right to manage their team the way that they want. So when you have trades that are before the season even starts, just after a draft, I mean, it's like those teams are 0-0. They're obviously not colluding. They're obviously not trying to load up another team or anything like that. I think, in all honesty, both teams are trying to do what's best for their team. And I'm finding more often than not in more leagues than not, people are using the veto as weaponizing it to rather than like, oh, this trade is lopsided or it's not fair, rather than just saying, well, I don't want to see that team. My perception is that team's going to get too strong, and so I'm going to veto that way. And it's like, what's the point of doing your research during your draft, drafting deeper players, and then, hey, I was right. Hey, Cam Akers is a huge hit this year. I have now capital that I can trade and try and pull in a Travis Kelce, or I can try and pull in Patrick Mahomes because I did my research and I drafted well. Somebody says, well, if he gets Mahomes, that's going to be too strong of a team, so I'm just going to veto, even if the trade's fair and even if there's no collusion. I don't like that idea either. So, like in Nick's league, it seems like every year we have a good handful of trades and nobody ever seems to say anything. We never seem to have any problems with vetoes or anything like that, which is very funny because, Nick, you're in there with 3 of your brothers. I'm in there with my roommate. Like, you would think there would be more colluding in that league than ever, but there's never a problem. There's never a problem. In my league, we have all these self-proclaimed, hotshot fantasy guys, spend all this time and this and that. But it's like the minute somebody puts in a trade for anything, it's like, dude, the vetoes come out left and right. And, well, it's maybe too lopsided here or there. So as a commissioner, I'm in this spot now where it's like, I want to be able to promote an active manager throughout the season, and that includes trades. Like that includes trades, absolutely. But I don't want to take away the power from the league to be able to veto if it truly is a lopsided trade. Now, I'll give the example in what we had in our league. The We had a new player, a new manager come in, drafted last minute. Thanked him for that. He drafted Kelsey at the 1-5, kind of where he's been going, and then in and then so he wanted to trade away Travis Kelsey because he thought he was going to get Mahomes, I guess, in the third round or something like that. He wanted to trade away Travis Kelsey, number one tight end in the league, probably the biggest sure thing, in fantasy football. And then Tank Bigsby, who obviously rookie, but good team, it's been said he's going to have a role. And initially he wanted to trade for Mark Andrews, number two tight end in the league, who I think Ben has, and Anthony Richardson. The reason he wanted Mark Andrews is because he had Lamar Jackson, so he wanted the stack. And the trade was vetoed, and I looked at it, and it was a little frustrating because it was like, I understand that people didn't want to see Ben get Travis Kelsey and all that, but it wasn't this lopsided. It wasn't so lopsided that it wasn't unjustifiable. And so for me, it was just like, if these guys want to make this trade, like, the guy was clear. Like, hey, I wanted the stack. I have Lamar Jackson. I want Mark Andrews. He was giving up a potential, rookie Anthony Richardson. The guy could be something. We've heard all the hype. But it was like, yeah, it's probably anybody that knows fantasy football, it's probably a little more in Ben's favor, but not so much that I want to take away a manager's ability to trade and make their team better. So I'm in this conundrum right now, and what I'm going to do next year moving forward, as far as vetoes go. And in my league, we have 12 guys. It takes 5 people to veto a trade. So, assuming that the 2 involved don't vote, that leaves 10 managers left. So half of them need to veto. And I don't know if that number needs to increase or what, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts kind of on everything. I'm sorry it's kind of long-winded because I'm not going to be able to stick around, but I would like to, hear what you guys have to think of it.
I appreciate
Can
it.
I go? Can I go?
Yes, but just to fill you in real quick, and then that way Jake can hear, just to fill you in real quick, it was obviously vetoed but reassessed again this weekend, all right? So from my perspective, I'm being probed for Mark Andrews because this guy obviously just wants Mark Andrews. Like, okay, guy. And at the same time, I'm being spoon-fed Travis Kelsey. And so knowing what's going to happen with this league, for shits and giggles, I'm just going to accept this, Go ahead, if you're going to probe me. And I just didn't kind of foresee all the things that are happening with it. Like I said, it's kind of funny. But I can go too on my idea with trades, but please, Nick, go ahead. What do you think? What were you saying before?
So obviously I've been commissioner for one league for 10 years. I did another one also. I used to do 2. That one fell off during COVID, so I just do 1 now. Luckily, like Jake was saying, I never really had an issue. And I think the main issue, or the main, and that's what's weird with Jake's league, because it kind of is counterintuitive to what I'm gonna say. But I listen to a lot of fantasy guys, and they say if your league has vetoes in them, then you're not in a real league. And what he meant by that is, if lopsided trades are happening that often, then you need to kick those guys out of the league. Like if it's more than one, like obviously they don't know fantasy football. On the flip side of it, it's kind of who determines what's lopsided, right? So
Exactly.
like how we all draft, right? We all have different evaluation on players, right?
Yes.
Like how are you going to say he's evaluating that player wrong just because you believe he's not going to have a good year, or you believe he's a bust, or he's a sleeper and that's too much value? Like, who's assigning these values? That's the whole reason why we draft, right? Because Jake's value and Andrew's value and Ben's value are all different than my value, right? So the evaluation of the trade itself gets tricky. And just to go off Jake's point, I feel like the veto there. And the only reason why I keep it in my league is because it hasn't been an issue. If it ever became an issue, just get rid of it. I'm not I'm because it's ran so smoothly for so many years. It's kind of like don't you know don't change it if it ain't broke, right? Don't fix it if it ain't broke. Like I'm just not gonna all of a sudden be like, hey, by the way, no more vetoes, even though we haven't had an issue with it. But I favor the no veto thing. Maybe the commissioner, and he can do like a side vote, but instead of like the veto, which is kind of like vetoing, but the problem is it's different because you're gonna instead of somebody just pushing the veto button, they got to come to you, Jake, and explain why that trade is not fair. And if enough people come to you and say, "Hey, dude, that thing is so lopsided," then as a commissioner, you can just say, "Hey, unfortunately, I got to reject this trade." Instead of Arik, who I know who does it, he's not here. Shout out to Arik, who's just like, "Nah, I don't want nobody to trade. I don't want it to be good for anybody, right? Because then it goes against him. So I'm just gonna push the button veto, whether it's fair, whether it's not, and that's not cool, right? Because like,
and that's what I feel like I'm getting a lot of. There's becoming more and more in the leagues that I'm involved in. Like last year in the league that I'm drafting tonight, we had it was my pops actually and somebody else. My pops was trying to trade for a quarterback that didn't have a bye. I think it was Aaron Rodgers, whose a bye week had already left. I mean, they were like bench players that they were trying to trade, and people just veto and it gets vetoed. And he was just like, what's the point of even logging in after the draft if you can't make your team better? Even with the thing is, and I'm sorry, Nick, I know this is your time. The other thing is I'm seeing is so much is like trades always are involving the first and second round guys. Like you never have trades for like, hey, J.K. Dobbins for Terry McLaurin or something like that. It's always your top tier guys, and so everybody always gets all weird about it. And it's so. Anyways, but yeah, I'm seeing more of the Arik vetoing than I am like people actually feeling like it's actually lopsided. So, anyways, continue. Sorry, Nick. Totally.
Honestly, it's just like you said, Jake, like either be in a no trade league or allow trades and just have no vetoes. Like the veto thing, again, like I said, I would have gotten rid of it if I would have ever had an issue. I just haven't. But the more and more I listen to fantasy guys on Sirius XM and all that, and it's multiple guys, it's not just one guy I listen to. It's like multiple guys are like, dude, vetoing is so dumb. That's the dumbest thing because you're giving the power to the league. You're giving the power. So like you said, I have a strategy, I want to trade. You're giving the power to the other 10 guys and their knowledge of their rating system against just me to make my team better.
So Nick,
that's not fair.
Let me ask you this, because before I took this league over, there had been issues, and they're between guys that aren't even in any of our leagues anymore, but issues where one team was out of it, one team was in it, buddies. Hey, you trade me X, Y, and Z for this, and we split whatever money is earned. And they both had like legit reasons. Well, I needed, I got hurt players, so I needed to get the 1 for 2 or the 2 for 1. And but everybody knew like this is lopsided, but they had a justification for it. And then it turned out that it came out that that's what they were doing. They were going to split the money. It's like that's why I'm scared to take away the vetoes from the league, because we've had this happen in the past. And again, this was a long time ago, but it's just
well,
I don't know. I feel like
Jake, look, I feel like you're somewhat a fair guy, just like me. Our evaluations might be different, but I'm a fair guy. Like I don't want anybody to get screwed or anything. That's what I'm saying. You can leave it as you can veto the trade. You can I can go reset all your guys' rosters right now if I want. As the league commissioner, yeah. I can drop a player. I can add a player to every single one of your guys' teams. I can do whatever I want to your guys' teams. So in that case, if a trade is that lopsided, one, you're probably going to see it, right? You're going to probably notice it first, right?
Right.
And then you confer with, send out a mass text, this and that. Hey, guys, I feel like this trade is real lopsided. What do you guys think? Do you feel like something's going on? Then it's the same as the veto thing, but it's more of a let's get the conversation going instead of just somebody pushing a button and just you have, I think that trade should have went through. That's BS. That's a good trade.
Well,
There's
yeah, the
nothing wrong with
second,
Ben's trade. That
well,
trade should have.
the second trade that they sent through after the first one was vetoed, which the first one I even sent out a text to the group and I said, hey, like, this is not like vetoing is supposed to be for obvious lopsided and and collusion to prevent that stuff. This is not either of those.
No.
But then the second one that was sent through was the same two players Ben would get, which would be Travis Kelce and Tank Bigsby, and then Ben would be giving up Mark Andrews and then Deuce Vaughn, who he just picked up off the free agent wire. And so everybody was like, this was worse than the first one. And even I was like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, that's so stupid.
Okay, but
the guy's saying I don't have a running back, but he's giving up a guy that's obviously going to get a lot of goal line work in a standard league in Tank Bigsby. And for what? A Deuce Vaughn? Like,
Drew.
It was ridiculous.
Drew, I'm going to pass it to you right now, but exactly our point. You guys, all of a sudden he thinks Deuce Vaughn has value, and so I don't want to take away from what he values or what he's taking. Like I said, he's probing me for Mark Andrews, and now and also, you can ask anybody. I have high stock value in Anthony Richardson. I have him as my starting quarterback in a lot of my fantasy leagues this year. That's the way that I go, the way that I draft. I think he's going to produce. So it's not like I was like, oh, here you go with Anthony Richardson.
I like the first one.
You know what I'm saying?
I like the first.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it.
Should have went through.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you, Drew. What do you think? While we still have Jake has a little bit more time, what do you think, Drew?
Okay, so the first trade is not a bad trade. Okay, the Anthony Richardson situation, that trade, it wasn't a bad trade. My whole thing is it's the context behind the trade. Okay, this guy just joined our league. He's probably never been in a real competitive league, and yes, even though the trade isn't a bad trade, it's what's left on the man's roster that made me like, dude, I gotta help this guy out because I don't think he realizes.
No, you don't. No, you don't. It's not your team. It's not your team. You put in $100. Ben put in $100. F that guy. What do you mean I need to help him?
This guy just joined the league. Okay.
Then that's your guys' fault. That's Jake's fault. That's the 12 guys he got together. You can't then say, I'm going to veto a trade just because the rest of his roster might not be as deep anymore. That's the whole point of drafting. That's the whole point of trading. You cannot then – that's a fair trade. Again, we're talking about a fair trade. I don't care what's left on his roster. That is a fair trade.
Sure. So, I like I said, so when I vetoed the trade, right, because I did, it was – listen to what the running backs that he had on the roster left, okay? It was
double dip, and the possibility of Lamar can get hurt, right?
Which is exactly what the kid wanted. The kid wanted the tight end quarterback stack. That's why he drafted Kelce, because he thought he would get Mahomes. And so since he didn't get Mahomes and he got Lamar, he wanted to trade for Mark Andrews.
I get it. If it was some other running back, like a starter, Andrew, it's Tank Bigsby. You're hoping that he gets goal line carries. He might not even have a role. You don't know that. We don't know that. We think he's talented. But he might not even have a role. So a lot of people draft that way, by the way. I listen to the fantasy guy. He says, I draft receivers first. This year, drafted receivers first 6 picks. He goes, I would not draft a running back in the first 6 because he's going to get Charbonnet and all these other guys that you might not have rated as high. But there's literally a strategy out there where he said, I am not drafting a running back in the first 6 rounds.
Look.
Because that's how he wanted to create his team.
Look, Andrew, you know that I love you. You know that we're all brothers here. But when you said that I'm here to protect Jesse, that was more like, fuck you to Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
Knock it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I took it, though. Like, I'm saying, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your argument. But the whole concept of betting and money on the line and the way that I value my team and the way that I'm trying to improve my team, and that's how I took it, But like I said,
I'll put it to you this way, Andrew. When I was desperate and I had to ask Arthur to join our league, did you help him draft?
I helped him with the waiver wire.
No, did you help him draft?
No, I didn't.
Why not? Guy obviously doesn't know how to draft, needed help.
There was a few times
sorry, Arthur, if you're out there.
I'm just saying.
He's the best player available. I did.
Well, that's solid advice, Andrew. Solid advice. But That's my point, though, right? You probably weren't going to tell him, hey, take this guy, when 3 picks later, you want that guy, right?
So I'd like to make one point too. I like to just one point before I go to.
You got it, Jake.
And this is like to people that are listening that like to veto trades and all this and that. So we got a guy in our league, Alex Rivera, and he's been in the league for like 4 years now. Didn't have much fantasy experience like when he got into it. Tough league to get into in the beginning. He made a lot of dumb trades like early on, that shot him in the foot and stuff. And like the thing is like he learned from those mistakes. Like he learned from, I gave up on this player too early, or I gave up too much for this and that. And he just kind of learned the ropes. And, last year he finished really good. He was like the high scorer in the league. And we've just kind of watched him come a long way to where he's like a very competent manager now. And so it's like, even if these trades are lopsided, like if you take yourself and your own interest out of it, and you got 2 guys that are trading, you got like, well, that's kind of lopsided. Well, like he's never going to learn that it's lopsided. It's like, let him make the trade and go 0-10 and then be like, that was really fucking dumb to give up, on this and that. I got to be, I made a ton of bad trades to like Richie and Jimmy, like early when I first started fantasy like 9 years ago. And it was like, finally, I'm like, now I won't do it. Like I'm totally gun trying to trade.
Andrew, last year, after like 3 or 4 weeks, I offered a trade in another league. I said, hey, I'll give you Tony Pollard and Jerry Jeudy for Najee Harris. Okay. He said no. He wanted more. I said, are you fucking nuts? Najee hasn't done anything. Pollard, I was like, are you sure? He goes, no, I want your first round pick. He wanted Devontae Adams. I was like, you're fucking nuts. I'm not trading Devontae Adams for Najee. But I was going to give him Tony Pollard and Jerry Jeudy. How stupid would that have been?
Ooh.
I'm so glad he said no, because Tony Pollard demolished Najee on his own, and I was willing to give him Jeudy, and Jeudy tore it up at the end of the year. And I actually ended up making a playoff run. I didn't win it, but like there were 2 of my dogs the rest of the year. Like, and I'm a fucking good ass fantasy footballer. I was about to make the horrible fucking trade. Right. But my evaluation at that time is I trusted Najee's talent, and I thought he was off to. I was trying to buy low, and I was still giving him because I didn't want to root for Jeudy. He was a little banged up at the beginning of the year. I was like, dude, Pollard, whatever. Give him Pollard. He hadn't had a breakout year yet.
Jake, I appreciate
it. Guys.
Thanks, Jake. Good luck. I appreciate your luck, man.
Yeah, send me the show. I want to hear the rest of the conversation,
absolutely,
guys. Thank you.
Bud. You got it, bud.
Sure. Good luck on your draft.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, so I was gonna make that trade, and he said no, and that would have been a garbage trade. But after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you don't know. Before the season, you don't know. Kelsey just got hurt. Ben could have traded him. Homeboy tears his knees out for the season. Guess what? The other guy's fucking. That's right. Right? He's probably feeling pretty with Mark Andrews, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You can't veto trades based on just what you think his team or this that. You have to just look at the trade for in itself. Who cares what Ben has? Who cares what he has? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they drafted. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's what you're giving and what you're giving up. And if it's within the ballpark, it doesn't even have to be fair. It has to be within the ballpark. And Mark Andrews and Anthony Richardson for Travis Kelce and Bigsby is within reason to make that trade plausible and let that guy learn. Again,
this is what the situation was. So basically what I said is on the group text, I was like, hey, look, bro, I don't know if you've looked into this whole trade, but I'm like, for your own good, I'm just going to lay it down for you and let you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I told him, like, hey, look, you're going to have all 3 fucking Ravens players. You're going to have 2 running backs left. I was like, I'm going to veto it, but I'm like, if you guys, and obviously, like, everybody else in the start of the league started chiming in. I was like, look, if you guys want to do your own trade, resend it. I'll stay out of it. Whatever. It is what it is. So, obviously, the new trade went through, right? And then they got even more dumb.
I think, like I said, I think it's kind of like making fun of you guys now because it went worse. Like, it's like you should have just let the first one go through. It's kind of like Ben laughing now. Like, look, guys, look, this is what you guys want. Like, you want something Like, you want something really lopsided? This is lopsided. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of and now. So let me fill in, and we'll finish this, but so we can go on to the rest of the show. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, Nick. Now trust me, this now we can talk about it. It happened. This guy is now booted from the league because of the drama that what happened on the back end or whatnot. But that's kind of how I approached it, knowing our league, knowing the tenure of our league. It's like, okay, that's how it was with the first league. We'll wait and I'll sit back. I thought it was over, but he sent me another one. He, like I said, he's probing me for Mark Andrews. And now he wants the guy I just picked up with Vaughn, someone who I picked up with all my leagues. I just kind of like him, you know. But okay, fine, take him, knowing it would get vetoed again, right? And then Travis Kelce got hurt. I woke up to the Travis Kelce news. Andrew's making fun of me, and I'm just I'm like, oh my gosh.
I already knew it was gonna happen because I drafted him because I'm Kristen Arden.
Yeah, I thought about you. I thought about
like,
you. I was like, oh no, But at the same time, out of all this, I agree with everybody's argument. It's happened to everybody. We've all drafted, we've all traded, we've all picked up a dude that just got hurt right after that, right? Hours later. So that kind of brings us into our next topic. All right, we spent almost 20 minutes on the trade thing. Let's bring us into the next topic if you guys don't mind, because we're kicking off the start of the 2023 season and week 1. And so, but like I said, it did happen real quick. Andrew, you drafted Jonathan Taylor in the late or mid rounds, 3rd and 4th rounds in both your leagues, and you got the news hours later about the PUP list. So, what are you gonna do to salvage that?
So luckily for me, I only picked him up in one league. That was the league that we're all in together here on the show. So to break it down for you guys, basically what happened with me is I ended up getting the 10th pick in the draft. I was able to get myself most of the running backs. It's a full PPR league, so I didn't really want to gamble on Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb because they don't pass catch, right? So I ended up taking two receivers right away. I took Stephon Diggs, then I wrapped it around with Garrett Wilson. It's coming to me on the snake on the back of the 3rd round. So Jonathan Taylor just kept falling. And I'm like, dude, I thought the worst case scenario, he might get traded, right? Like, I think, okay, he's probably get traded. He might go to a different team, whatever. No big deal. If anything, he goes to the Dolphins or the Eagles, it's going to be awesome, right? So I get it, and I go there, and I take Jonathan Taylor, and I'm like, okay, no big deal. First running back, not a problem. And then obviously I kind of just salvage it, and I get the next few running backs there. But is it gonna kill me? No, but it definitely does put a little bit of a dent into my flex spot now. It's gonna make me start probably, whether it's Van Jefferson or one of these guys to be my flex instead of a legit, number 1 running back like I thought John Taylor was going to be for me. It does suck. I mean, it's just one of those things that you didn't expect. I don't think a lot of people expected him to go on the pup. I'm sure it was out there. I mean, I knew the ankle was an issue, but I thought that was him just strong-arming the organization and Jim Irsay and saying, yeah, I'm not going to go out there because my ankle, quote unquote, hurts. But as soon as he gets traded, that ankle feels magically better, right? So that's my opinion. That's what I've seen so oftentimes, with a lot of these contract situations, these people get traded. They, quote unquote, fake an injury for a little bit, go to a new team, and everything's all of a sudden good again. I thought that was going to happen with Jonathan Taylor. Now it's just a whirlwind of shit. He's going to be out for 4 games minimum. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if he's going to play. I know you need 8 games to accrue a season, right? To accrue a season, if he actually really wants to get out of the organization, he needs to play at least 8 games. After these first 4 games, maybe he's going to get off the pup. Maybe they let him play for a game or 2 or 3, and then they try to trade him for the trade deadline. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to John Taylor and the Colts going forward, because it's clearly right now it's just a shit show. And anybody who has Jonathan Taylor, good luck getting any trade value off of him. And he's basically just going to take up a roster bench for 4 weeks plus, and there's really nothing you can do for it. You try to go get Deion Jones, try and maybe get Kareem Hunt. Maybe they take Kareem Hunt. You can try and take a gamble on some of these guys, but I mean, from the value that you expected to get from Jonathan Taylor and what you're actually going to get on that spot for him, it's going to be dreadful. And hopefully you're good enough to make a move and still stay competitive in your leagues, but it's going to be tough.
Well, I am sorry it did happen to you, I promise. But thank you, Nick, for pulling up our draft board for this league's draft. If you don't mind sharing us what you might have, and it definitely was a shocker. We got it on film. You saying that you would never take Kelsey in the first round ever. It hurts you so bad. But then we also got you on live stream of you taking Kelsey in the first round. Okay, but also not only that, I've been trying to make this video, man, because it was just so funny the way it all set down. The way that you also drafted Pat Mahomes in the third round. To get that connection, because I guess I know what homie Jesse was talking about, because you did it in your draft. And it was just so funny. Everyone was talking about how unorthodox it was and how this wasn't right and it was never you, and you're just like, I've never won this league, so I got to do something different. So go ahead and share with us what you think about your team and how it went down this year, what you were thinking.
Well, before the Travis Kelce hyperextended, hopefully it's nothing.
Right.
It does make me nervous that they play on Thursday. So,
right.
With the hyperextension, it could swell up, usually around 2 to 4, depending on the severity. Travis Kelce is a dog, and I know he's super tough, so he'll probably tough it out. I just don't know. Again, we don't know the extent of it. So if it's more on the medium to severe side, I don't think he plays on Thursday. It's the first week, plus they get that extra rest, right? They play on Thursday, so they don't play for another 10 days. So I don't see them pushing if it's something even mediocre or medium. If it's just, hey, I tweaked it and I'm fine, then he'll probably push through. But yeah, I mean, this league really eats at me because I run it, and it's the only league I've been in for multiple years that I have not won. So I'm in 5 leagues. I've won, all my other leagues. I've won leagues that I'm not in anymore. Like, I've always won leagues, and this is the only league in 10 years I've never won. And yeah, this is not the way I draft. It's not the way I drafted in all 4 of my other leagues. I kept true to myself. And, when it came around, I'm in that middle pick, and that's like Jake said earlier, that's where Travis is going. I just went for it. I said, you know what? I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to see if something changes, And I knew if I went Kelsey, I had to go Mahomes. I had to double dip because I'm going to be weak at every other position. I'm going to be weak at running back. Not weak, but like I won't have the edge. I'm not going to have the edge on receiver. I'm not going to have the edge at running back. So how do I get an edge back? I'm going to have a major edge at tight end. And I'm hoping, again, there's other quarterbacks that can put up just as many points, but still, I'm hoping I have the edge on a week-to-week basis with Patrick Mahomes. I need that edge. What I really like, actually, though, is that I was able to get Mahomes in the third. I was really nervous, and I kind of trusted our league history, knowing you guys don't go quarterback, but I've seen Mahomes go in the second round first. His ADP is like 14. So people are getting him at the end of the first, early second, coming around. And so I was just like, do I wait or do I get him here in the second pick? And I took that gamble in my mind, and I said, you know what? Let me get a number one receiver, and hopefully he still falls to me, knowing that Ben, Mario, Damien, and Jake probably won't go quarterback, and that's what I banked on it because I only need you 4 because it's going to go that way and then come back. So I was like, I only need you 4 not to want a quarterback this early. Even though it's 8 picks, I just need 4 guys to say no quarterback. So that's how I was kind of thinking. I was happy to actually get him in the third, and I like the way the rest of my team kind of went from there. Obviously I'm all in on Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and I hope this knee thing's not that big of a deal. To comment on Andrew, the only reason why it sucks with Jonathan Taylor with Andrew is because that was his first running back off the board. So it's not that he got him in the third and the value and all that. That all make, but like if Andrew, let's just look at the draft. If Andrew would have went Saquon, right?
Sure.
and then come around and get your number one receiver. Let's just say it's Garrett Wilson. I love the guy. Love the pick, by the way. And then you come back around and you're like, you know what? I can't pass on Jonathan Taylor. Now he's fell. I don't think it hurts you as much. It's
Right.
just the fact you went receiver, and then took the gamble is where I think like where you've already, and that's I share where you've already like shared is like, dang, that puts a damper on your team there. So and then obviously Ben, everybody audience, me and Ben picked back to back. Luckily, to be honest, Ben, I don't think other than Deontay Johnson, I don't think you like took any players I had my eye on. I'm always nervous when I got, good drafters around me. Just so happened, you didn't really snake anybody where I was like, oh damn, I was really gonna get that guy next pick.
But
It happened other rounds, but
I don't know.
and how
But
about yourself?
but maybe I would have if you had went with your traditional way of drafting.
Correct.
Like
That
I
is
said,
100%
you had me
correct.
thrown off because usually that's how it usually is. I'm right there next to Arik, or I'm right there next to Andrew, and we both know our draft strategy. So it's like it's easy to. I ain't getting these running backs. I ain't getting that guy. It ain't gonna pass. It's gonna happen. And so this year I was a little bit dramatic when you went this way because I kind of felt like I was still getting value because not that you replace Arthur, but Arthur basically did the same damn thing, just couldn't fill in the other spots, right? So I kind of felt like I had some guys to choose from, even though I was kind of reaching. I felt like I had a hard time with my draft taking Eckler first, and I've always kind of struggled more in PPR leagues. I reached for Dalvin Cook, thinking that if anybody gets the work, it's going to be him. They signed him for a reason after having Brees Hall. So, but also it's a double quarterback system on most teams now, So we'll see. That's why I took Deuce Vaughn, because look what Pollard did under Zeke. Why can't Vaughn do anything under Pollard? But it was a fun draft. It was good, and like it is every year.
Ben,
yes,
I want you to explain one pick.
Please.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. What do you want?
You don't think? I thought that was a little bit of a reach in round 3, and I kind of want to hear your analysis on DJ Moore there.
Well, I think he's obviously the number one. Okay, a number one receiver in Chicago right out the bat. There's a little bit of connection with Justin Fields. There's hype on Justin Fields, and also the history with DJ Moore. He's with Andy Dalton, with freaking some other rookie quarterback. He's had 1,000-yard seasons every year as a Panther. So it has to do with being a homer. It has to do with the reach, and I think it's almost, what was it? Who did I miss out on? I missed out on Calvin Ridley. I missed out on Keenan Allen.
No. It would have went Devontae Smith,
T. Higgins,
and then D Hop and Keenan Allen were the next 4. Now I kind of put D Hop out of there. I think I might have got DJ Moore over D Hop, but I don't know if I go DJ Moore over Devontae, T. Higgins, and Keenan Allen. But again, that's my analysis. That's why I'm wondering. You could say Keenan with the, injury, but I just mean more of the Bears offense, Justin Fields, why not Devonta Smith or T. Higgins, who those offenses are just balling.
All I remember from this draft is that I'm targeting targets. That's the one thing that I need to get in this PPR, full point PPR league, is that I want to target the targets. I know DJ Moore, when he gets that separation, he's getting 10 targets per game, and he usually catches it. So it's that's just something that I was aiming towards. And in comparison to Devontae Smith being a number 2 receiver, right, under A.J. Brown, correct? And also T. Higgins being number 2 receiver under Amari Cooper. But I guess they were right there. I don't, but like I said, I liked it. I went homer with DJ Moore. Okay. We'll see.
So it's more of a homer pick because my thing, your analysis is correct, but that's what I'm saying. So that's on past years. And when you go new team, new offense, new QB, you can't really say, oh, homeboy's going to get 10 to 15 targets every game, right? Because we don't even know if the Bears are going to throw it that much,
But I think he gets his 1,000 yards, which is going to help me. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to get his 1,000 yards, so we'll see. And so
banking on that Justin Fields breakout. I mean, I certainly am. I drafted him in that league. He was what, a top 5 or a top 6 quarterback last year in fantasy, and
Rushing.
he no, I get it. He threw, but my whole thing is he threw for 2,400 yards. That's what I was getting at. Like, was he a top 5 quarterback because of his passing ability? Absolutely not. He was still really, really bad passing the ball. But if everybody's expecting this breakout to happen and him to take the corner and him to be basically, quote unquote, the Jalen Hurts of last season, he's going to have to find out how to pass the ball, and I think the Bears organization, they realized that, like, hey, we got a stud in the making, but this guy needs to get pieces. What did he have last year? He had nobody. He had Darnell Mooney and he had Chase Claypool, which they signed in the middle of the season. Like, he didn't have anybody to throw to. You know what I mean? So you go bolster up the receiver core. You go get yourself DJ Moore, who's young, who's been a stud in the league. You still obviously have Darnell Mooney. You still have Claypool over there. You paid Cole Kmet some good money. So obviously that everything points to, look, we're going to try and pass the ball more. Everything, all the offseason moves they've done. I believe they got a new offense coordinator as well. I'm not 100% sure on.
The only thing they didn't do was I don't know their O-line, dude. I don't think they really addressed the line much.
I don't know if they addressed it in the offseason. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge Bear follower.
They're just they just say, Justin will run away from them.
Yeah. So like I said, everything they've done in the offseason points for them to have more of a passing attack. And for Ben's sake, I mean, and DJ Moore's sake, like, hopefully that happens, because otherwise it's a big gamble, but it's also can be a big payoff, So it's not the biggest, for me, it wasn't the hugest question mark, because I think T. Higgins is still kind of a question mark too. I really like Devontae Smith. I probably would have took Devontae Smith, to be honest, but I mean, we're all different evaluators on talent, right? So it is what it is. But
well, with that being said, I want to say thank you guys for everything that you've done to start. We haven't even started the season yet, right? Which starts on Thursday, right, with Kansas City versus Detroit. We haven't even started the season yet. We've already got drama in our fantasy leagues, right? Trades being vetoed, people being kicked out, and injuries, and everything has happened. But I also want to say thank you to all of our viewers and new subscribers. We just hit over 700 subscribers, guys, to start out September. So I think
thank you.
So I think we're headed in the right direction. We're going to keep on pushing it forward. But we want to go ahead. The kickoff of the season is here. So we'll finish off this stream with some pick by Nick, if you're ready by that. If you're ready for that, Nick, and also like I said, what your favorite matchup may be to start off the season. What do you think is going to kick us off?
Week 1's always tricky because you have so many new moving parts, so many new teams, coaches, schemes, all that. So it's hard to pick a pattern. The one that stood out to me just by looking at the lines, is I think Minnesota -6. They're playing Tampa Bay. Minnesota's at home. I'll take Minnesota by a touchdown. I don't trust Tampa Bay. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I think they're going to have a Tom Brady super letdown. They don't have anything to really play for. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to motivate them. I think they all know they're rebuilding. I think they all know, we're playing for the next year, to next 2 years. They don't have that hype of we're going to do something this year. Minnesota, on the flip side, is always there to win the division. I think they always have something to prove. Kirk Cousins always has a chip on his shoulder. It's not a primetime game, so I feel very confident with a 1 o'clock start. Kirk Cousins and everybody. I mean, Justin Jefferson went number 1. Dude, they're going to want to come out firing. And so thank you for our ads. But yeah, I think Minnesota's going to come out hot. They're going to want to throw the ball, and I think they'll cover easy against Tampa, who's going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So give me Minnesota by a touchdown, and we'll be good with that.
Very nice. Drew, what you think's going to happen week 1?
I think it's going to be one of those weeks where it always happens, right? I mean, the offenses come out normally, they struggle. The defenses are going to look amazing. There's one team in particular who I think, if you can get a defense for a fantasy-wise, I'm biased because I have them in our league, But if you can get the Redskins defense, dude, they're going to go out there with Clayton Tune, the Washington Commanders. Apologize. If you can get the Washington Commanders defense, they're going against the Arizona Cardinals and Clayton Tune. This guy has been terrible. Why they let go of Colt McCoy? I honestly think they let go of Colt McCoy so they can just tank. Kyler Murray is going to be on the pup start the season. I'm really curious on what happens with that. I'm extremely curious on what happens with Kyler Murray. If they bring him back out, have him play, and I think he can potentially be one of those trade deadline kind of guys where maybe somebody wants to try and trade for him, and the Cardinals continue to tank for Caleb Williams. I know, Nick, you say there's no such thing as tanking in football, but they're not going to play as hard. I'm sorry. They're just not. They're not going to have the roster to do it. The Arizona
it's as close as tanking as you can get. It's as close as tanking as you can get. Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals are going to be horrendous this year. They're not favored for any single game that they're playing in, and that's a fact. It's going to be a complete shit show in Arizona, and I think the Washington Commanders have a very good defense, and I think they're going to go out there and just feast.
I did look at that game too, but I was just like,
it's a 7 right now. 7. It's not a touchdown; it's a full 7. So they got to win by.
I know, and that's what made me nervous. Some stupid late game crap. Week 1, you know, all the shady stuff. Week 1, like nah.
Just a side note. This guy right here, this Nick Bosa guy, needs to fucking sign. All right. I was hoping we get some breaking news in the middle of this fucking thing, but he doesn't sign. I'm actually really, really nervous about our team.
Sitting out all year. He's sitting out all year.
There's been so much distraction with the Niners, and truthfully, I'm actually kind of a little bit worried about them going to the season with all the Trey Lance BS and now this Nick Bosa stuff going on, and it's a lot of distractions, dude. And so when you have a team that's on the cusp of championship level play that they have been for so long, the last thing you need is to have all these distractions. And Nick Bosa seems like he doesn't give one F. He wants his money, and rightfully so. I think he deserves his money. But so it's going to be really interesting with my Niners and how they go. I mean, hopefully they don't fall flat on their face against Pittsburgh going in Pittsburgh. But if Bosa's not there, dude, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they got stunned. You know, I really wouldn't. If Pittsburgh's been looking like amazing in this preseason. Kenny Pickett's looked extremely on point. So yeah, I'm a little worried about a little upset in Pittsburgh, you know. So
but you guys started off slow last year too.
Yeah.
You guys started off slow last year too, so we'll see.
I think one of the most impactful games to start off the season, something that we're gonna have to wait for. We're gonna have to wait all the way till Monday night to have Jared Allen versus Aaron Rodgers, and I really think that's just kind of. I know it's only week 1, and you can't tell too much from week 1, and you know how it is every year. Everyone flips their lid when who loses week 1, okay? But then we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot about this division. We're going to see a lot about the rest of the season by what happens in this game, you know? So I'm excited to see that. Nick, I want to share with you, I watched the first 10 minutes of Hard Knocks with Robert Salah trying to blow up his team about the Ravens versus Eagles. I was getting so excited I had to turn it off. All right. It was okay. So, but with that said, you guys, I want to say thank you. So, for our viewers, this is exciting. Fantasy football in the season is now on. So, we are here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. for your waiver wire pickups for anything that you need. This is what we want to build here in our community and our platform as a place where you can trust someone to give you solid analysis for your trades. Okay, we went over that for your waiver wire pickups. For all that stuff, we're going to be here for you every week. So please let your friends, family, and neighbors know. I want to say thank you to Nick. I want to say thank you to Drew and Jake. Thanks for joining us today, you guys. And until next time, peace be the journey. And one love.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.
See you later.